former Raiders star Darren Waller, yes, that Darren Waller, is officially heading to the Miami Dolphins. The New York Giants just finalized the deal, sending Waller and a conditional 2027 seventh-round pick to Miami in exchange for a 2026 sixth-rounder. But the twist? Waller's coming out of retirement to make this move happen. Now, I know he's not currently wearing the silver and black, but don't tune out yet. This news absolutely has ripple effects for the Las Vegas Raiders. With Waller moving again, questions are now swirling about the team's direction at tight end and what that might mean for Michael Mayer's future in the offense. Let's break it all down. Let's be real. If you saw the Darren Waller trade go down on July 1st, your first thought as a Raiders fan had to be, wait a minute, does this mean Michael Mayer's on the move? Here's the truth. Just because Miami brought in Waller doesn't mean the door is closed on Mayer trade talks. Not even close. Why? Because the Dolphins' tight end room is still among the weakest in the NFL. Adding Waller? Sure, it's a headline grabber. But that doesn't fix their depth issue, especially with a player who's struggled to stay healthy year after year. Now, don't forget, Waller was electric in his Raiders days. He put up dominant numbers and gave us unforgettable moments. But the past few seasons, it's been more about what could have been than what actually happened. Raiders fans know it. Giants fans lived it too. If Waller does make Miami's final roster, and that's still a big if, it's not enough to rule out the possibility that they're eyeing someone like Mayer to truly upgrade that unit. So yes, the trade buzz around Michael Mayer might have cooled slightly, but don't count it out. Not yet. Let's not sugarcoat it. Darren Waller's name still carries weight, but his body can't keep up with it anymore. The man is 33 in September, hasn't played a full season in years, and his injury list reads like a medical report. Chronic hamstring issues, recurring back problems, and an SI joint condition that just won't go away. Over the past 4 seasons, he's missed 36 games. That's nearly an entire NFL season lost, every single year. So, even with this sudden return, it's hard to see Waller as a dependable threat, especially for a team like Miami that desperately needs consistency at tight end. The Dolphins aren't adding him as a centerpiece. They're patching a hole. Now, here's the part the Raider Nation should pay attention to. Michael Mayer is flat out better right now. He's younger, healthier, and built for the long haul. If you're starting a team today, tomorrow, or 3 years from now, you'd take Mayer every time. That's not bias. That's reality. Waller gave us amazing moments in the silver and black, no doubt. But those moments are now memories, not momentum. If I had to choose between Michael Mayer and Darren Waller right now, it's Mayer, and it's not even close. Here's why. Tight end is one of the hardest positions to transition into from college to the pros. It takes time. And what we've seen so far from Mayer, that's just the beginning. He's already played more games in his early career than Waller did in his first 2 NFL seasons, 25 versus 18, and he's only getting better. Waller's story is well known. He overcame early career setbacks and finally shined in silver and black. But that was years ago. NFL teams, especially ones like Miami, know exactly what Waller is today. A gamble, a potential spark, but nothing guaranteed. Mayer, on the other hand, offers more than just promise. He's stronger as a run blocker, more reliable physically, and fits the mold of a complete modern-day tight end. And here's the kicker. Miami showed serious interest in Mayer not long ago, back when the same coaches were already in place. That tells you everything. He's still on their radar. So if you're asking me who's the better fit today, it's Michael Mayer. He may not yet have Waller's peak as a receiver, but in terms of total impact, blocking, consistency, and upside, Mayer wins. Let's call it like it is. The Miami Dolphins don't seem too concerned about toughness in the trenches. They're leaning into a pass-heavy, finesse style of football. And based on how they plan to use Darren Waller, blocking clearly isn't a priority. But here's where things get interesting for Raider Nation. Miami just proved they're willing to spend money on tight ends. Even with Waller's injury history and age, they structured a deal that could pay him up to $5 million. That's not pocket change, and it shows they're still actively searching for tight end solutions. If they're serious about balancing their offense, they can't rely on Waller alone. And that opens a real possibility. pairing him with a young, physically complete tight end like Michael Mayer. Look, if they're not swinging big for names like Kyle Pitts or Mark Andrews, and those moves would cost a fortune, then Mayer becomes a smart, affordable, and strategic option. He gives them blocking, he gives them toughness, and he gives them long-term upside that Waller simply can't offer anymore. If the Raiders entertain the right offer, this scenario isn't far-fetched. In fact, it might be exactly the kind of roster move that pushes both teams forward. Let's break this down financially. If Miami were to trade for Michael Mayer, they'd only be taking on about $3.6 million across the next 2 seasons. Just $1.6 million this year and $2 million in 2026. That's a bargain, especially when you're dealing with the uncertainty surrounding a player like Darren Waller, who literally just came out of retirement. Yes, Waller's name still carries weight, just like Hunter Renfrow once did. But let's be honest, name recognition doesn't win football games. Production does, and Waller hasn't shown that consistency in years. And here's the big thing Raider Nation should be watching. Multiple league insiders have reported that Miami is still highly interested in trading for Michael Mayer. No, the Dolphins themselves haven't said it publicly, but the reports are strong, which raises a question. Why would you be 100% locked in on Mayer after just trading for Waller, unless you know you still need more? The way I see it, the Waller deal feels like a cover move. Miami might have grabbed Waller now so they don't look desperate later, because when teams look desperate, they overpay, and no front office wants that label. So if the Dolphins are still circling around Mayer, it wouldn't surprise me one bit. But thanks to the timing of the Waller deal, any leverage the Raiders had in trade talks may have already taken a hit. Here's the reality. If the Dolphins were truly after Michael Mayer, trading for Darren Waller instead is like asking for a reliable pickup truck and driving home in a convertible. It might look flashy, but it's not built for the same job. Mayer and Waller are completely different players. One is young, physical, and versatile. The other is aging, injury-prone, and hasn't completed a full season in years. So, while Miami might claim this move was about adding depth, it still leaves a gap, especially if Waller doesn't hold up. Now, let's get to the bottom line. I don't believe Darren Waller is a lock to make the Dolphins' final 53-man roster. At this point, it's a coin flip, and the toss depends entirely on his health and mindset. If either is off, Miami could easily move on. As for Michael Mayer, yes, his chances of being traded have dipped a bit, but they're not dead. This is the NFL. Anything can happen. If Davante Adams can land in Vegas, Mayer can still end up in Miami under the right conditions. But, let's be honest, after the Waller deal, the Dolphins don't look as needy. And when a team doesn't look desperate, it gains leverage. That means the Raiders likely won't get top value if they do decide to move Mayer. So, don't rule it out, but don't count on it either.